Welcome back to Affirmations. I want to thank my subscribers as well as my new subscribers, and also those of you who are swinging through. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hoping your week went well. And as we say, if it did not go well, what's one thing you can do to make it better? Okay. Also, wishing everyone mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical health. Okay. For those of you that are new, we always start off with our saying, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Have you been feeding yourself fresh or rotten fruit? I'm hoping it's fresh, always wanting to mind the self talk that we do with ourselves, as well as what we speak, as well as what we speak about others. It's okay to vent. But if we are being malicious or relying on others, sometimes it can activate reap what you sow. And what's interesting about reap what you sow, sometimes it does not come back in the same way. So we don't want that, okay? All right. So for those of you that are new each week, we are tackling the topic of healing slave trauma. Let's see, we use the DBT deck for clients and therapists, 101 mindful practices to manage distress, regulate emotions, and build better relationships. Okay, so again, we're using this to look at topics to kind of help start healing slave trauma. Okay, in the past, we were using the self therapy card deck. Okay, it is also a great deck to get as well. A lot of times I'll use this with clients when they still want to reach therapy goals. And again, a lot of the topics are really great for us to still tackle some of the issues that we still struggle with, okay? And also, too, encouraging everyone to get Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome, America's Legacy of Enduring Injury and Healing by Dr. Joy DeGury. Again, we've heard of post traumatic stress disorder, but never post traumatic slave syndrome. That would be our people's diagnosis specific to us. Again, we have been affected throughout the generations. A lot of behaviors have been passed down from traumas that have happened to us that we have mimicked and taken out on each other. Okay, so do get this book. It's important. Okay, for us to start understanding how we're still being affected. Okay, and all three of those items are in my store. You can click on the description. And at the bottom of the description, you will see my Amazon storefront, as well as you can see the information on the About page at the bottom. Okay. Let's see. And also, anyone that wants to donate to the channel, there's also information on the About page at the bottom. Okay. Let's see. And with that, each week, what we're doing, we will pull the stones. For those of you that are new, courage. Did you have to have courage this week? Were you able to, or were you at peace? Are you feeling like you have the strength to endure to the end? And what is it that you have faith in? What are your beliefs? And can you imagine better for yourself and our people? Okay. If we can't imagine it, then it normally it can't happen if we can't imagine it. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to mix the stones and see which one we get. Okay. We got faith. So I'm wondering, are some of us losing faith? Yeah. Sometimes we've definitely had faith in this material world. But again, those things pass away. Again, those things don't last forever. And sometimes it can give us a temporary, okay, I'm dropping faith, y'all. Don't drop your faith. Sometimes they can give us temporary feelings of security. But if you notice that it fades after a while. So what is it that you know for sure? What is it that you truly have faith in? Okay, it's important. Okay, so faith belongs to the green deck. Okay, let's see what we're going to get on this one. Okay, this is a smaller deck, so let's see if I can shuffle or how's it going to do. If I can get one to come out. So I've kind of been putting aside the ones that we already got, so some of the decks are starting to slim out, so we won't repeat. Let's just see. I'm going to pick this one, okay? Because this deck is kind of too thin to shuffle. Okay. It's saying, okay, make gradual changes. Changes are more often gradual than dramatic. Think of a problem you have. What behavior or behaviors would other people notice you doing if your problem were less severe or even resolved? That's interesting how they have that worded. What behaviors would other people notice you doing if your problem were less severe or even resolved? Start practicing those behaviors to kickstart the change process. Some examples of this include going for a daily walk if you are depressed, initiating conversations if you have social anxiety, or reaching out to friends or family if you are isolated. So, wow, these right here do take, are requiring us to take action, right? In order to make changes, it requires action. But this is kind of interesting. I'm just kind of looking at this. And again, we're always looking at things through the eyes of, slave trauma and kind of how our people are being affected today. So, for example, it's tricky. Sometimes our people don't want to take a daily walk, because again, we hear horror stories of sometimes our people just walking and being harassed, right? We've had those incidents when sometimes people are harassing us because of race, or sometimes even cops, initiating conversations, right? Sometimes we've learned to stay to ourselves, not wanting to be rejected, but also to, it can be hostile in the world that we live in. So sometimes we're cautious. And social anxiety, reaching out to friends or family. Now that is doable. No, is that right? If you have social anxiety, yeah, that's the initiating conversations in public. So that's tricky. Or reaching out to friends and family if you're isolated, okay? And so sometimes our pride can get in the way with that one. But again, I do hear people, I even have clients, and they'll say, I really wish no one's checking on me. Again, one of my mottos and what I tell people is, if you are feeling that way, then Spirit has put that on you, and you are required to do that. You are required to do the thing that you're complaining about, right? If you're wanting connection, that means it's for you to do. It does feel great if other people reciprocate. And sometimes it takes us initiating, and it is okay to see once we initiate, is someone going to reciprocate and exchange and want to continue the back and forth, so you can see if someone's open to making a connection. If family and friends are not willing to make a connection, sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves. What are some things that may be contributing to the distance? Is there a past or some past hurts, or sometimes not connected to you, but to your sibling or your parent or family member that you're connected to, that again has that family member or friend kind of pulling back a bit. So we sometimes when we're trying to wonder why, sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves and really start looking at some possible reasons, okay? And sometimes there's no reason at all. Sometimes, we've talked about sometimes friend and family jealousy is tricky, right? And sometimes acceptance is a big topic we talk about in cognitive behavioral therapy. It's having to accept the reality. You can only do so much. You have to be able to accept that sometimes that does exist, okay? But as far as walking, you know, definitely we have been able to survive and find ways to be able to find safe places to walk when we're depressed. Okay. Um, or maybe the buddy system, have someone to walk with. Social anxiety, initiating conversation. Again, that's amongst ourselves and our own people. Sometimes our anxieties are even with our own people, right? We can be tough critics, right? We have cliques. And so sometimes we do have to look at that. If you have social anxiety, you have to think about that. A lot of times, you have to observe people a little bit, but sometimes we will go for people that we know are probably in a like a little clique. And so sometimes you have to be wise in who you select to talk to, okay? But also too, even though we have cliques, is it okay for us to be open to engaging with people outside our groups? You know, it can go both ways, okay? So yeah, so gradual changes. You have to take action. What behaviors would other people notice you doing if your problem was less severe or more evolved or more resolved? Okay. That's an interesting one. Okay. Let's see. We are going to doing our affirmations. Let's see what we're gonna get. I'll put that back. Let's see. Got this backwards. Let's see what we're getting. Okay, let's see. We can get one. Okay, let's see. We got two to flip over. Interesting. Grief and freedom. I'm going to go with freedom. What an appropriate topic when dealing with slave trauma. It says, I possess the power and the free will to create my own happiness. I possess the power and the free will to create my own happiness. We've talked about this before, how we are programmed to depend on others to provide us, uh, to kind of put that responsibility on other people to make us and help us feel happy, right? Until you are able to, either through spiritual work or therapy, figuring out how am I able to create my own happiness without requiring or depending on someone else to do that for me. Again, that's called codependency. And that is a big responsibility. But what's interesting is it's kind of tricky. Again, through songs, through movies, through programming, we have been taught that our mates, our people, our friends, our family are supposed to help us feel happy, calm us down when we're angry. And that is a beautiful thing. And I do feel like we are to support each other. But when you get upset when someone's not able to do that for you, and you're requiring someone to do that all the time, that's when you know that it is not in balance. Okay? It's okay to have that support, but you must be able to self soothe, be able to figure out what is it that I need in order to create my own happiness and peace. Okay? And sometimes we don't want to do that. We tantrum a bit. We don't want to do that work, right? But is it fair to always put that burden heavily on one person? And then sometimes in relationships, you have to ask yourself, if you're depending on other people to do that, are you that for that person as well, or is it kind of one-sided? That's how people start getting drained and kind of neglecting themselves. And then there's the self-care. And then you have someone who's burnt out, which can also lead to kind of mental issues as well as physical illnesses. Okay. So we have to kind of watch that. Okay. Freedom. Yes. Okay. And with that, guys, thank you so much for returning. I want you all again to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. I also want you all to look at the community tab each week. A lot of times I'm posting things, videos, different information for us to look at. And, as we say, we always say that everyone has a right to heal from trauma. And even though no one has extended our people this, uh, even us as a race nation have a right, without judgment and without others' opinions, okay? And with that, I want you all to have a great week. Until next time, bye.